Hello, guys. Welcome to SellerSprite. I'm Yalchin. Today we have special guest from India. Meghla, welcome. How are you today?
Hi, Aljan. I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry for make you waiting a little bit, but finally we come together. And how is it going in India? Could you give a little bit about your background, what you are doing? Of course, I know, but we would like to hear from you as well.
Yes, definitely. So I've been in the sourcing industry for over 24 years now. And I started in India, then I went to China. I lived in China for 10 years, Philippines, Singapore. And around 3 years ago, I moved back to India to focus 100% on helping overseas importers and a lot of Amazon sellers as well source products from India. So our sourcing agency is India Sourcing Network. And then we also organize group tours to India, which are called India Sourcing Trip.
Yeah, nice. Actually, we met with Meghla in different places. It's very good. And also previously we had several podcasts. It's great to know that. Okay, nowadays Trump is sleeping and wake up. There is tariff, and they're saying different topics every day. And how is it going in India? What generally people, manufacturer people think about it? If you give brief info.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, you're right. Every day in the morning, it's a new surprise, right? What will Trump announce today? Which country is his target for today? So, I mean, most of the tariffs currently are on China, Canada, and Mexico. But I mean, he has been talking about, announcing some tariffs on India as well. And in fact, there have been some tariffs imposed on aluminum and steel products. Although it's not yet clear if those tariffs are only on raw aluminum or steel or even finished products. It looks like it's mostly raw aluminum and steel. And if that's the case, then it's not going to affect really, Amazon sellers or private label brands or even importers who are sourcing products. However, he's also talking about imposing tariffs in a reciprocal manner. So on the same categories that India imposes tariffs, he will impose tariffs on those categories. But again, I don't know how that's going to work because India imports a very different kind of, different kinds of products from the US. For example, let's say, cars, for example. But India does not export any cars to the US. So I don't know how that will play out, right? I mean, agricultural products, yes, there's a lot of import and export from India to the US in that category. So there can be reciprocal tariffs. But yeah, I mean, the Indian government is actually very proactively communicating with the US counterparts and trying to achieve a deal with them so that there are minimal tariffs. And the Indian government has also, in fact, rolled back some of the tariffs on U.S. Products. So I think there's dialogue going on. So that's a good sign for sure. However, still there's a little bit of uncertainty over here, right? I mean, people don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs, tomorrow.
Yes, I agree. Even I think Trump doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow because he says something today, one day later he denies it, and something differently. It's totally unknown condition nowadays. And what do you think? For example, you also, I know you have been working with sourcing from China as well. These
Mhm.
tariffs, how is it going to affect the Amazon seller or e-commerce seller who sourced the product from China? What's your opinion?
What definitely is going to increase prices for for private label sellers, for importers, and ultimately for users. It is going to increase prices. However, everyone's in the same boat. So I think competition is equal for all sellers. That's something to keep in mind. It's not just one particular seller's price is going to increase. Everyone's prices are going to increase. However, I think the sellers that are able to first of all negotiate better prices, the sellers that are doing larger volumes, they have more leverage with their Chinese suppliers. Those are the types of brands that will really be able to absorb some of the tariffs, or their suppliers will be able to absorb the tariffs. And a lot of sellers are also looking at their product and seeing how can they actually reduce the cost of the product, whether it's using a different material or changing the dimensions or maybe adding or removing some features that are not very valuable, etc., to actually to reduce the price of the product. And of course, a lot of sellers, not only Amazon sellers, but all types of importers are looking to diversify their sourcing. So we are increasingly getting more inquiries from people who just want to, source from India or Vietnam or any other country, and they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. So sourcing diversification is happening really, really fast. And that is definitely the need of the hour. And that is one strategy that will really help all sellers, compete and stay alive basically in this market.
Yeah, meanwhile, are you helping sellers to find a product from Vietnam as well?
So Vietnam, we do, but not a lot of focus on Vietnam now. We're really focusing on India because a couple of things are happening in Vietnam. One is, for many products, there's limited capacity. So, for example, we were trying to source some garments in large volumes, but many of the suppliers said they don't have capacity for the next 6 months. So they are fully booked. So Vietnam has this challenge of limited capacity because, of course, labor is limited, land and other resources are limited as well. The only categories that we are able to do successfully currently from Vietnam, one is, kind of backpacks, baby like carry backpacks, and then also handicraft products like cane, rattan, those kinds of baskets. So, but our focus is really on India now.
Yeah, okay. You're right. When we speak with Chinese factories, it's kind of unlimited. They have, if you order 10,000, it's no problem. They're gonna produce it. But same situation I saw in the Turkey before we tried to find one product from Turkey. They don't reply, or maybe they say they don't have a time. 3 months later, 4 months later, then they can produce that product. But we used in China, I think similar to India as well, you can produce as many as product maybe in 1 month maximum. Mainly, it's like that in my mind nowadays. Okay, let's go to India. How do you think this tariff will impact Indian products, or is there any numbers or any terms you can say?
As of now, there is no impact, especially on products that are imported by Amazon sellers, because the tariffs that have been imposed are on steel and aluminium, and most likely it's just like raw steel aluminium. So currently, there is no impact. There are no additional tariffs on any of the products. But you never know what Mr. Trump will come up with tomorrow. But as of now, we're safe. But I think overall, Trump. I feel that the relations of India and US are somewhat better than the relations of, say, US Canada or US China. And also, if you think about this whole situation from a geopolitical perspective, the US does need some allies in Asia as well, right? I mean, they can't have too many quote unquote, hostile partners in Asia. So overall, I mean, the sentiment over here is that, okay, the US wants to work with India, and India also wants to reciprocate and work together with the US to limit tariffs. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's just waiting to see what will happen. What about, I can say about the China? Maybe you heard nowadays Chinese electric vehicles are just booming everywhere in the world. It's kind of crazy. Likewise, what areas of Indian manufacturing nowadays is more popular, growing faster? How is it changing?
Yeah, so there are certain categories that I see are growing quite fast and becoming more competitive compared to China. So first of all, India is very strong with garments, especially when it comes to cotton garments. And there we are seeing that India is becoming more competitive, and pricing and availability and the total variety available and capacity is quite high of organic cotton, fabrics and apparel and other types of products. And pricing is very competitive compared to China. So that is an area where India is was quite strong, and it is establishing a very strong hold in this category compared to China. And then there are other specific categories where we are seeing that India is becoming more competitive. So, for example, there are a lot of these, restaurant disposable products that are being used that are maybe eco-friendly. Like, for example, there are these plates and takeaway boxes that are made from bagasse, which is sugarcane waste. So that is a very fast-growing category in India. There are a lot of factories that have been set up in the last couple of years, and pricing is extremely competitive, even lower than Vietnam, Indonesia, China as well. So those types of factories are producing at scale, and the raw material is readily available in India, which allows for lower and more competitive prices. Then there are also categories like, for example, toys. So the Indian government has focused a lot on toys and games, and they have created different export zones for industrial, centers where they're giving benefits to toys manufacturers to set up their factories. And like recently, we were doing this one project for a Montessori toy that was made out of wood, and we got quotes from China and India, and the quotes from India were lesser than those from China for the same type of wood, exact same product. So a lot of categories that are actually labor intensive, also you'll find that they are getting cheaper in India and more expensive in China because labor costs and everything are increasing in China, whereas in India they're still quite low. Then there are other things like, for example, paper-based products, like toilet paper, tissue paper, pizza boxes, those kinds of things as well. We are seeing more factories being set up and producing competitively. The thing with India is that because the domestic market is so huge, there are actually hundreds of thousands of manufacturers in all categories, but they have just been so busy catering to the domestic market that they're not even thinking of exports. But now, the more suppliers that we speak to, they say that, yeah, we want to do exports now because now is a good time. China's prices are getting more expensive. There's tariffs. US importers want to diversify. So there are more and more categories where companies are, looking to export.
Yeah, I believe that in China, for example, government always helps the manufacturing, what they need to produce, how they can sell. They create a kind of infrastructure, also help to go out of China, sell their product in South America, North America, everywhere. I think in the maybe government or high level industry people could help or maybe just redirect the manufacturing. There is a chance you can sell your product in Europe, you can sell your product here, or maybe trade shows. Before you used organized India sourcing trip, is it? Do you plan this year as well to for the visitors?
Yes, we are planning India sourcing trip this year as well. And what we are also doing is more private sourcing tours these days, because a lot of not only Amazon sellers but other importers, they want to come to India and they have their own specific products that they want to look for. So we organize private sourcing tours for them where we find factories based on their requirements and then help them visit the factories and finalize factories as well. And then after their visit, if they want help with sourcing, then we help them with the sourcing process as well. So yeah, and so the India sourcing trip, the group sourcing trip that we're doing, that's in April, and then the next one will be in October. So we're still doing that.
Good. You're actually helping both sides, Indian side to go grow their business outside of India, and also the sellers or importer from Europe, America to come to purchase product from India. We now the India is the biggest country in terms of population, and there is the marketplace. I know Flipkart, Amazon, etc. Can you mention some of them and how sellers are doing sales there?
Yeah. So the main marketplace for global sellers is still Amazon in India, Amazon India. And to sell on Amazon India, you do require a company and a GST number. So it's not as easy as maybe selling on Amazon US or Amazon Singapore, for global sellers. You do need some sort of company set up over here. So a lot of overseas sellers, if they have a good brand that they think will sell successfully in India, then they have a partnership or they set up a company over here, to sell. Other than that, there's also other marketplaces like Flipkart, which is actually part of Walmart. And then there are other smaller kind of e-commerce marketplaces that are more niche and they focus on specific categories. For example, there's one that focuses on baby products or fashion apparel, electronics. But I don't see a lot of like private label sellers selling on these platforms because again they're very specialized and they're more narrower in their overall scope. But I think Amazon is a really good place to start, especially if you are selling on Amazon US. You can easily port your listings to Amazon India, and it's kind of a seamless process.
It's same language, right? English,
Yeah,
and
English.
don't need to change anything.
No, no. I mean, there is an option of different languages in India, but I mean, anybody who's buying on Amazon, generally they would be able to read English. So yeah.
You use English language. Okay, what about the Indian Amazon sellers? Uh, can you talk some about the sellers in India, how they are doing sourcing from India or big brands? What can we learn from them?
Yeah, so India-based Amazon sellers who are selling globally, that's a very fast-growing category. And in fact, we work with the Amazon global sales team over here to help source products for these India-based sellers. We are one of their sourcing partners. And Amazon themselves have very aggressive targets of exports from India, or not only from India, but helping India-based sellers sell more globally. And it's quite interesting that there are some very large sellers over here that are doing 6, 7, 8 figures as well, and gradually they have started dominating certain categories. So for example, if you look at towels on Amazon.com, a lot of the sellers are going to be based from India now. So India is dominating that category. If you see bed sheets, a lot, especially cotton bed sheets, those are coming from India. A lot of the jute rugs, a lot of bags as well. So certain categories are being dominated. Another category is socks. So India is producing socks very price competitively. And currently, we are working with Amazon global sales team to help source like a lot of socks for, a wide range of sellers. So again, prices are very competitive. The quality is quite good. The manufacturing capacity is there. So we've in fact, placed an order of around 500,000 pairs of socks. And that's, across different sellers. It's not just for one seller. So Amazon Global Sales, they are actually coordinating this and they are helping all of the India-based sellers source products and sell. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting in the next couple of months because we are going to see more and more India-based products on Amazon.com and also eventually Amazon Europe.
Do you mean because of the Trump tariff, or there is another also shift towards India?
No, not only because of Trump tariffs. I mean, there's some categories that India is good at, even if there are tariffs or even when there were no tariffs on China products. And this is a target of Amazon in India. Like they have a target of increasing exports from India. So it is their, project and it's their initiative to help India-based sellers export more to Amazon US. And this is not related to the tariffs. This is when Jeff Bezos had visited India a couple of years ago, and he said that we're going to increase our exports to I think like $20 billion in certain number of years. So this is related to that. It's not related to tariffs at all.
Okay, actually, you're right. Sometimes on the Amazon, when we check the product price in China, adding all the costs, and then finally you think, oh, this is not possible to sell product with this price because you certainly lose the money for that price. Probably in these categories, you have to be manufacturer or you should source a product from somewhere else. Sourcing from this kind of product from China is way more expensive, and for expensive product, you cannot compete with other sellers who have better terms and better purchasing capacity. I agree with you. And also nowadays, I see that Amazon global team I saw in Vietnam, Thailand, uh, some other countries, they are encouraging, they are coming to events to talk with the sellers, how you can set up, how you can source product. Even our team member from SellerSprite, she's gonna meet Amazon global team in Vietnam, and they are helping Vietnamese sellers to grow their business, how to sell on Amazon. We recorded some dedicated video for Vietnam sellers, how you can set up account, how you can use it. Um, do you remember before when you were in China, there was something in China, Amazon Global Team, maybe?
Yes, definitely. They were so proactive in China. I remember that. And I mean, still they host so many conferences for Amazon sellers based there. And at that time as well, they had started, hosting conferences. In fact, I used to organize a conference in Hong Kong, an e-commerce conference called Global Sources Summit. And this was we started the summit in 2016. So around 2017, 2018, maybe. Amazon in China was quite interested in the conference. They had come over, and there was this presentation that one of the Amazon representatives had given at the conference, and he said, "We don't need the middleman. We are just going to have the manufacturer sell directly on Amazon." So that was their approach at that time. And I think that's around the time when they started working with manufacturers in China and helping them establish their own private label brands. So I think they were very aggressive in China at that time.
Yes, yeah. Nowadays, yeah, I also see in China as well, but e-commerce already grow in China, and
Yeah.
maybe don't need that much to encourage the local seller to grow. Everyone knows the Amazon. Okay. Okay, let's wrap up and thank you for today. If any of our friends or the audience want to contact you, how they can contact and find you?
But the best way is to find me on either LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. Just search for Meghla Bhardwaj. Or you can even go to our website, indiasourcing.net, to get more information. You can book a discovery call with me from the website. The email address is given on the website as well, and you can send us an email.
Thank you, guys. We are gonna put all those links and the contact information in the description. You can check out and just click one click. You are gonna be on the website. Meanwhile, Meghla has the free call. You can discuss terms and how you can source from India. She's gonna help you whatever you need. And any of my friend wants to do anything in India, I always recommend. Thank you for today.
Thank you. Thanks, Yalcha.